What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast. We thank you guys for tuning in. Another snowy Friday. It gets old around here. Opened the blinds and I was like, I'm gonna have to wipe off my car again. I hate that so much.
Wait, it snowed?
I mean, it's snowing where I'm at. I don't know if it's snowing where you're at.
Oh, man.
It's snowing where I'm at. So, not a fan. Not a fan, I must say. I mean, it's not coming down super bad, but it's coming down. It looks like the light stuff, so maybe it'll just brush lightly and easily off my windshield. Yeah. Hopefully that's the case. Otherwise, if it's the heavy stuff, then I'm just gonna plant my face into it and yeah. But we thank you guys for tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're catching us via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and all the other outlets you can find us at. Big Friday today. We got Nuggets basketball tonight, preseason game number 3. I believe the final one of the preseason. It'll be against Portland again after they kind of smacked them around a little bit the other night. And then we got the Denver Broncos tomorrow. Not Sunday, tomorrow. So I just the YouTube thing just popped up and I look like E.T. I should probably just undo this a little bit. All right, I feel exactly like E.T. Nice product placement in the background with the Sun Chips. If you'd like to sponsor us, Sun Chips, go on ahead. That's free advertisement right there. Except it's the cheddar version, and no one likes that version. It's garden salsa all day. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about today. We got to get to our picks. Screw off Raiders. My hatred for you only has grown tenfold. So I hope failure upon your organization for many, many years to come. No one last night, we were texting back and forth. First off, like, I think I know the answer to this, but when the Broncos were dominating recently, like for that 4 or 5 year stretch, the AFC West wasn't this pathetic, was it? Like, the Chiefs were good, but the Broncos were just better.
The Broncos,
but like
won.
The Raiders and Chargers weren't like embarrassing like the Broncos and Raiders and Chargers are, right? Now,
I think they were, because even the Chiefs at times, because the Broncos went on a massive winning streak within the division. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, these teams weren't like shanking field. Like, that game was embarrassing last night. Like, if I'm a Raiders fan or a Chargers fan, I don't feel good about that. It's like kind of how I go for a midnight snack to the cookie dough at night, and I'm like, you know what? 7 spoonfuls sounds amazing right now. And then I wake up in the morning, and I'm like, you know what? 7 spoonfuls was not amazing last night. Like, it sounds good in the moment, and you feel good about that win, and then you wake up the next day, and you're like, ugh, that just feels dirty and gross and embarrassing. I'm ashamed about that.
Yeah,
that's how I would feel as a Raiders fan and a Chargers fan.
The quarterbacks at the time were Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, still, right?
I mean, he was young. He was like first 2-3 years,
and then Alex Smith. So
yeah, so I mean, I don't think the division, like, there was a stretch where I think the division was like the best in the league. So I don't know if these teams are embarrassed. Like, the Broncos have their moments. They've obviously done better in these last few weeks, but the Broncos have been pretty much an embarrassment the last 2-3 years, mainly under Vance Joseph that last year when they were just getting blown off the field every week. And then you got the Chargers missing 2 game-winning field goals. You have the Raiders, who won. I mean, I don't know who 27 is. That Mullins guy, I think is his last name. My goodness. Get him some safety help, or that guy, I wouldn't be surprised if we woke up this morning and they cut him. He had like 6 penalties last night. I was like, please, someone stick him on his hands together so he can't hold anymore. Just have him run with his body after the guy the whole time and try and knock it down with his helmet. It was just embarrassing. You had Marcus Mariota. I mean, the guy's wide open in the middle, and he somehow throws it behind him. That's why Marcus Mariota, unfortunately, is a backup quarterback. He looks good, and then, there's that throw, and there's Chris Harris Jr. running down the other sideline, which that tackle, by the way, I don't know if you saw it on the replay, but it looked like Chris Harris died on that tackle. He was running so hard, and then Mariota, came out of nowhere like a freaking Jaguar, just got him from his back, and Chris is like, nah! You just see his mouth open all wide, and it was hilarious. But yeah, those two teams last night were just embarrassing. Missed field goals, goal line. Just I thought the Broncos were terrible at the goal line. The Raiders. I mean, my goodness, man. I just there's so many bad things about that game, and of course, I'm the one that ends up taking the L. And you should have been the one that took the L. It's the Chargers.
No,
They found every way to lose that game
you're
last
the
night.
jinx. I'm
Every
telling
way.
you.
No. No
You asked
way.
me last night, and
No
then I
way.
asked you who did you pick, and you said the
first
Raiders,
off-
and so I'm like, okay, I will take the Chargers
First off,
purely
I was
based off of
correct.
that.
The last 1, 2,
Well, I wasn't going
three-
opposite of you. I like
3 Thursday night games, I've been good. So I'm just saying. Plus, I'm up 15 games still. So who is the jinxie cat here? Let's look at the overall score. You texted me that last night. Like, oh yeah, Chargers suck it. And I was like, you can have this battle, but I'm gonna win the war. All right. So you can have the battle for this little, province neighborhood over here, but I'm gonna take the territory when it's all said and done. That crumble will be mine.
I think I'm gonna be within 10 by the end of the season,
I don't think so.
going into the playoffs.
I don't think so.
And
I
then
don't
you're
think
gonna
so.
be, and then you're gonna be getting nervous.
Nah.
Yeah, I think by
This
the end
week-
of this week, I think I'll be within
No.
11.
I'm so confident. I've already put in my picks. I put them in last night. There's only like two games. 2 games. And I'm going to end up losing like 7 of these. But there's only like 2 games where I'm like, that could go either way. But we'll get to that later too as well. But yeah. I hope good morning to everybody except for the Las Vegas Raiders today. So that's how I feel about that. But the Denver Broncos have a game. You want to start with the Nuggets first, or you want to start with the Broncos?
We can start with the Nuggets.
Okay. The Nuggets come off of a huge win against a team that I think is going to be in the Western Conference Finals, but how they played the other night did not give me much confidence in their chances going forward, but I think they'll be fine. Wow, Utah's 3-0 in the preseason. They played the Portland Trailblazers. They'll play them again tonight. They won that game. It was 126-95. It really wasn't even that close. The Nuggets were in control throughout the entire game, and it was really one of those games where everything went right for the Nuggets and everything went just absolutely terrible for the Trailblazers. They couldn't hit a shot. Lillard was 5 of 14 points. He was 1 of 8 from 3, so that's unlikely to happen very often. If you're banking on Damian Lillard to miss 7 of his 8 threes.
I mean, to be fair, the Nuggets have always done a very good job on Dame.
Yeah, sure, but I'm not going to bank on him doing that again. So, but give them credit. They held him to 14 points. CJ McCollum only had 13. He was also 5 of 14 the other night. 2 of 5 from 3. Covington was actually their best player. I mean, he was 6 of 9, 3 of 5 from 3, 15 points, even though he was a -9 on the night. But the Nuggets offensively, I mean, everybody had it going, essentially. I mean, where did you want it? I mean, Murray had, I think, the first 8 points of the game to start that one off. He looked good. MPJ, and we'll talk about this, I mean, he had 10 points. His fit with the starters just still feels really weird and just off to me. I'm hoping that gets worked out, but the more we get into this, man,
He's
I'm
a
getting
different
more
type
and more
of player.
concerned.
I think what you're seeing is if the Nuggets went and got a James Harden, that's what it would look like, right? You're seeing a guy who he's an ISO player. At the end of the day, that's who MPJ is. He's an ISO player, and the Nuggets don't run any of that. Funny enough, though, I mean, the only other ISO player that would do that was Will, but Will has kind of figured it out. And once the rise of Jokic and Jamal, once they started getting going, you saw Will kind of figure it out and place himself, and he doesn't totally play hero ball anymore. And I think those days are not gone, but at least when he's out there with those two, he's not going to do that as much. And I think you're kind of seeing that with MPJ, that he's just a different type of player. He he kind of needs the ball in his hand to make a play. He's not going to go around screens, although to end the half, he got around a couple of screens and hit the corner three at the buzzer. That's a play that they need to run throughout the year for just for last second shots. But it's just, he doesn't necessarily, his play style doesn't necessarily work with the team, but I think that's a good thing because I think that's the one type of player that the Nuggets have missed the last 2-3 years.
Well, here's why I think it works with Will Barton, though. They get Will Barton involved in the action. Like, they don't have Will just sit on the backside on the wing
But Will
and just
cuts.
wait.
Will cuts.
Yeah, but
he does
Will's also
different
involved
things.
in the action. He's also involved in the pick and roll with Jokic.
But he can also do
MPJ's
that. MPJ, I don't necessarily trust to run an offense in that
Well, how
sort
would
of.
we know? Because he never gets the opportunity. He's always just sitting on the backside. It's always Gary or Jamal, which is fine. But I think at a certain point, like, Gary's offense is just I've lost all hope. Like, I just don't have any hope he's gonna. And I get it. He's got great chemistry with Jokic, but I think more often than not, it should be MPJ getting those opportunities to run that screen and roll and that action with Jokic outside of Murray than Gary. And I get it. If you want one of those guys to be on the backside to have an open three, you'd rather it be MPJ versus Gary Harris. But there's times, and we just see it every game, it's just he's just standing there. And the only time he gets his shot is when it's a bad contested shot. And I think part of that is he feels like he has to shoot it because he can't get any other shot right now. So I think there's ways that they can involve him in the offense. And listen, like the number 1 and 2 options right now, it's Jokic and Murray, and that's just not going to change. Okay. But I think we could swap out some of Gary's touches with MPJ and we can get him involved in that action. And I think the only way he's going to get better at that and feel that out is if he gets involved. If you don't get the guy involved, then he's not going to look good when he does get his opportunities to do it because he just doesn't get the chance to. And I still think there's still some things he needs to work on. His hands are not great. And I think it's more than just coincidence now. I just think that's a thing. His hands are not great. He gets stripped a lot. He drops a lot of easy passes. Alley-oops for him. He just needs to put on his Lob City finisher badge. I just don't know why he doesn't have that on because anytime someone throws an alley-oop to him, it just never works out for whatever reason. It just doesn't. Whether it's a bad pass or he catches it and just doesn't dunk it. I don't know what the case is, but I just feel like there's ways we can get him involved. It's just I'm not overly concerned, but it's definitely something I look at and I see every game where I'm like, okay, we could get him involved a little bit better than we're doing right now.
I think maybe for this year, it might be best to have him come off the bench. And here's why. So looking at the bench right now, other than Will Barton, there is no one that can really score. And I guess you would have to flip him for Will Barton, but the only reason why I would do this is because one, Will fits with the starting lineup a little bit better, at least with those guys, and two, look back at what Houston did, right? Or not Houston, sorry, Oklahoma City, with Russ, KD, and Harden, or even the Spurs with Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and Ginobili, and they always had one of their big three coming off the bench. And I think the reason is because a lot of times when you have a big three, the third guy gets hidden. Look at Miami with LeBron, D-Wade, and Chris Bosh, and what happened to Chris Bosh, right? In Cleveland with LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. So when you have the it's I think it's very difficult when you have a big three to get all three involved offensively in a smooth way. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times what happens is the other, the third wheel essentially gets put on the bench, but that's so that the third wheel doesn't have to be a third wheel anymore. And he has the ability to run the offense, have the offense run through him. And I think if MPJ was the sixth man on the team getting 25 to 30 minutes a game coming off the bench, I think you would see his numbers go up. I think you'll see his just overall his game improve. Now the problem with it is, again, you still only have one scorer coming off the bench because you would take Will, and two, I don't know defensively if you can really hide MPJ as well if he's not with the starters. So that's something that Malone would have to figure out, just because I don't know. I don't know how well you can hide him. I mean, look, Hartenstein's look good. He had 5 fouls though. That's a concern. Jeff Green, or I keep calling Jeff Green, Jermichael Green. You can hide, so you have those two behind to where you can kind of hide MPJ a little bit. But that's the only, I would say, the only concern. But that's the only thing other than, hey, just figure it out in the starting lineup.
And that's one thing I was thinking when I was watching the game the other night. I didn't watch it live. I was watching it on replay, and I was just, part of me was like, man, and seeing Will's comments of, I have no intention of being the sixth man, and, I'm a starter. Like, everybody knows he's a starter. Paul Millsap said he's a starter. And Malone, this is why I love Malone, and I think he's the right guy for this job. He's like, my job's not to make anybody happy. If my job was to make people happy, I'd go sell ice cream cones. And I get Will wants to start, but I'm thinking about it last night or the other night, and part of me was thinking, like, man, would it be best if MPJ came off the bench? But it's like, if you start him and then you move him to the bench, what does that do to his confidence? What does that do to his mindset? Like, does that rub him the wrong way? Because it's like, we know this guy has talent. It's just, for whatever reason, it's just, I said it on Twitter the other night, it's square peg, round hole. It's just, he's just not being used. They're just not going out of their way to use him. And, it's going to be hard because, like you mentioned, with the big three, the third wheel is usually the one that's the odd man out. I mean, you look any big three. I mean, Ginobili, Chris Bosh with the Heat. I mean, Kevin Love when he was with Cleveland. The third wheel is he's going to be the guy that's scrapping for, maybe 5 to 7, 10 shots a night. He's going to have to find other ways to get involved, which I think MPJ can do. I think he can dominate the boards this year on, with the rebounds, and I think he can average close to 7 to 8 boards a game. I mean, his activity on the boards is amazing.
Well, that's essentially what he's doing in the preseason. I think he's averaging. I mean, he only had 5 in the last game, but he's been getting 7 and 8 the last.
And that's where he can make his mark.
Yeah.
And I think he just has to learn to run in transition more. Find ways in the offense. If you're not involved in the action directly and in those handoffs, then you got to cut more. I mean, there's times where and I think part of it's on him too. He just kind of stands and watches a lot. This offense is about movement, and when you have one of the best playmakers in the game and Jokic being able to pass the ball, that I think it really becomes about movement. So I don't know. I still think I want MPJ to start, but I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, I would be, but part of me would be okay if it was like, okay, MPJ goes to the bench and Will Barton starts. But Will looks so good with that second unit, too. And I get it was a preseason game. It's one game. But he even said it after the game himself. I mean, the level of IQ of players he's playing with out there, and PJ Dozier, who's looked good, Monte Morris, Hartenstein. I mean, I get it, he had the foul trouble, but I think he's really gonna. I don't think we're gonna miss Mason a lot, to be honest with you. I think Hartenstein is gonna more than provide what Mason provided.
Yeah.
He's a little bit bigger than Mason as well. He's 7'1", so I mean, he's just as, maybe not as quick as Mason, but he's definitely very athletic for his size. He can move very well. His energy is relentless, which is what I love. He's always scrapping for boards. Jermichael Green, he's going to be out with the calf strain, but
he needs to watch the fouls. Just because.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a history with him. If he's a guy that gets in foul trouble. I know one of those was kind of a ticky-tack one where he got a block, in which he actually got hit in the face by Nurkic and he fell, and Nurkic fell over him. So that one was kind of ticky-tack. He didn't really get in foul trouble in that Warriors game, so part of me thinks that was kind of an anomaly. So we'll see with that. But
Jermichael Green going because how he's gonna be out, right?
he is, yeah.
I'm very curious. I think Najee should get minutes. I like him, and I get he's a rookie, and they're probably not gonna do it, but or at least Malone. I mean, I don't know what other choice Malone has other than to go really small, or he can play Bol more. But even Bol can't get minutes in a preseason game. I think Najee should be one of the guys coming off the bench here until Jermichael Green gets back. Because
He might.
He can
I mean,
play.
he's already surpassed Bol in terms of minutes, like you mentioned. Like I don't know what the situation with Bol. I don't know if he just hasn't looked good in camp or whatever. But I mean, he's been the last guy to come off the bench.
He's a bucket though. I mean, 10 points, 6 rebounds in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing it on the court. He looks fine. I don't get it.
Offensively, but it goes to the defensive side as well too. And there was a couple times, at least the other night, where he was just losing position. He wasn't really contesting shots at the rim. He was kind of going lazy at it. So I mean, it's always going to be defense with Malone. And part of it, I saw it the other night. Is just he just wasn't great defensively, but on the other end, he brings you that element which nobody else really can at that size. I mean, MPJ can, but I mean, he's 3-4 inches shorter than him. So, but I mean, if we saw Malone give MPJ a hard time trying to get into the lineup, I mean, it's going to be rough for Bol. At least with Najee, I think he gets out there because he plays defense and he's very active out there.
And they're very slim at that position now. So yeah, I think look for him, especially tonight, to have a big role. If he can get 15 to 20 minutes tonight, I'm very curious to see what he can do. I'm bummer RJ Hampton didn't play the other night. I was waiting, and then I found out he was out. So I love to watch RJ Hampton. I think he's going to be really good. Again, not going to play this year, but it's fun to watch some of these guys. They have the most fun garbage time roster in the league. RJ Hampton, Bol, even Najee with that group. Like Campazzo, I guess, will probably be in that group. Like they have
Yes.
I think
that he has become like I feel like
he's not going to play.
I have a confession here.
He's not. He
might not, but he'll get some good. Like
he'll play. They have the greatest garbage time minute roster of all time. Like
I don't know of all time.
I mean, I'm looking at this group. You got RJ Hampton, who people are gonna love. Campazzo already people love. Bol everyone loves. Like
except for Malone.
Except for Malone. And then Najee, I mean, will probably be in that group as well, since just because he's a rookie and he's super talented. I'm telling you, this team is just stacked with talent. Like
it's a unique team.
Ridiculous.
With lots of talent in different places. But I have to make a confession. And if we're gonna get real technical about the pronunciation of his name, because if we're gonna do the Spain pronunciation, it's Campazzo. You have to say it like a TH. It's not a Z. It's Campazzo. With a lisp. Campazzo. But Facu, he might be my second favorite Nugget already. And he's quickly running into my top 10 of all time. Like, when I watch him pass it and I get giddy, I'm like, oh no, am I cheating on Jokic? I'm like, am I allowed to enjoy this as much as I am? Because I don't think people realize, I mean, yes, the little back English spin one to Vlatko, that one was not like that. I mean, his IQ is nuts. But for him to cross half court and sidewind it to the opposite corner, not only to do that, but with the velocity he had, and it was on a rope. I swear it curved a little bit too. I was just like, are you kidding? Like, we've seen Jokic do that pass before, but it's in the half court, right? It's from like the top of the key to like the short corner. It's like, okay, that's nice. But he did it from half court to the corner on the opposite side. I was like, what is that? Like, how does he have that much torque with his elbow and that much accuracy? He's already the second best quarterback in Denver behind Jokic. It's Jokic, Campazzo, and then Drew Lock. Maybe some space, and then Drew Lock. But this guy, not only his passing, and I don't know if he has much of an offensive game. He doesn't really do anything offensively. He maybe jacks up like one shot here and there, but his energy defensively, he's a menace. Like, even though he's undersized, there was a point in the game where he got beat by CJ McCollum, but then he recovered and he was just like like mirroring CJ's movements. He was like that. His feet move so fast. I'm like, what? How does he move that fast? And like, he gets deflections. Like, he zoomed and stole it from who was it? Cantor on that little English pass. He just zoomed, like it was just a blur. It was just bam, bam. And I'm just like, oh my, is he moving in fast forward? Like, how is he doing this? He is by far, I think, my second favorite Nugget right now. And I was so tempted. I'm so sold on Campazzo that I looked for a jersey the other day. I wanted to buy a jersey. I'm already in. Take my money. I'm in. I'm finding a way to make my background Campazzo and my profile picture Jokic. If they could do a picture to get, oh man, if they could do a picture where Jokic has him on his shoulder, and like someone has to Photoshop that for me. Where a picture of a dad holding his son, and it has to be Campazzo on the shoulder and Jokic. Oh man, there's my new profile picture. There it is. That guy is so much fun to watch. Like, Gary Trent Jr. hated that he was guarding him. He was in Gary Trent's face all night. He stripped him. He was mirroring his movements. And like, Gary Trent is like 6'4", and Campazzo's 5'11". I just love saying his name with the lift. Campazzo. Like, that's gonna be a thing all year. But no, he's fun. He's great. Apparently Malone wanted him last year. Now I see it. I'm telling you, Malone's going to find a way. He is going to find a way to get that guy minutes just because of his defensive intensity and his hustle.
Yeah, he might get a few, but I mean, Dozier, by the way, PJ Dozier, my God.
Yeah, Dozier looks good. I don't know if he's going to shoot that good going forward, but
you never know. I mean, he is, and his defense too, he is quickly earning himself minutes on this team. Monte is shooting the ball fantastic, except from 3. I mean, he was 2 for 4 in the last one, but he's playing really well. There's so many guards on this team. I don't know. Now there's a lack of big men, so it's a bit of a concern. Unless Najee ends up being really good, then I think we can say, okay, well, they're fine. But, I mean, hell, even Paul Millsap looked good the other night. So,
yeah, I have a feeling
that's going to be inconsistent, though. That's going to be like once every 4 games that
I have a feeling we're going to see it's going to be a trade-off between Paul and Millsap, or Paul and I did what you did with Kawhi and Leonard. I'm very disappointed in myself. I think I might be done for the day. I think I just need to just take off the headset and just walk out. I'm very disappointed I did that. Paul and Millsap. It's like when you said Kawhi and Leonard, as if they weren't the same person. I think it's going to be a trade-off between Paul and Gary on a nightly basis of who's going to get the Wolf Award. Maybe that's an award we can give out after every Nuggets game, the Wolf Award, for which of those two performed the worst offensively. Because it was Gary's night that night. I mean, he shot a 3 that missed the rim, and I was like, oh boy. And then Paul was hitting 3s, and I was like, oh boy. Like, that's not. Don't give. Don't enable him,
that would be my reaction every time that Will would hit his first shot. I remember doing the games, and I would be waiting, and Will would chuck up a shot. And if it would go in, I'd be like, you've got to be kidding me. Here we go again. If he missed, I'd be like, okay, now we can get into the normal offense and be fine.
It's like that weird. Have you seen that Goofy meme? That Goofy meme where it's his face is all scrunched up and he's got like a crackhead face and he's like, I'll do it again. That's like what I feel like with Will Barton when he makes a shot. Like, I'll do it again. It would. That's kind of what I feel like with Paul Millsap. Like, don't enable him. But no, I do want him to play well. But like him and Gary, I just feel like it's just gonna be. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened to Gary's offense, but I'm just not holding my breath. I feel bad for him because I think part of it's just confidence. I just think he's in his own head. Like he has a good night, and then he misses one shot, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Then he
I
misses
don't
like
know.
3, and then he gets the snowflakes under his name. I'm just like, oh man, he's not
Yeah.
recovering.
I don't get it. Another thing too, the turnovers. Obviously, that's gonna be a thing for most teams. We saw it beginning of the bubble. We're gonna have to do it all over again. But yeah, that needs to go down. But other than that, they look good. The offense looks good. Their defense was really good. I'm excited for this team. When it comes down to it with playoffs and all that, it's gonna come down to matchups. I think they match up well against Portland. I really do. I think they matched up well against Portland last year. I think that's just a good matchup for Denver right now. I do not think Golden State is a good matchup for Denver, so that would be a bad first round to get. Dallas.
Speaking of them, you see what Steph did last night?
Yeah, no. If Golden State, if you are playing Golden State in the playoffs, you better run. you better say, hey, if there's 5 games to go and you're matched up with Golden State, you either lose and tank, or you better hope that some other team falls apart and you can get up, because that is not a team you want to play come playoff time. And I don't think that's a good matchup for Denver. The way Golden State can shoot, the way they move, I just don't think it's a good matchup. I don't think Dallas is a good matchup either. I would take the Clippers.
See on that one. I don't know. I think Dallas. I think they'll have a better shot against Dallas this year.
Maybe, but for whatever reason, that's just one team that they haven't played well against the last 2 years, even when Luka was a rookie. So I just don't. I don't know. Unless, we got to wait till the regular season, obviously, and until they play. But as of right now, those are the 2 teams that I'm avoiding 100% come playoff time. And the Lakers. But, I mean, yeah, you just don't get the 8th seed.
Right.
So those are the 3. I'm okay with the Clippers. I'm okay with Portland. I'm definitely okay with Utah. Houston, obviously. Who else? Who else is a playoff team?
I mean, Phoenix will be in there. The Clippers.
Phoenix will be interesting. I'm curious to watch Phoenix in the regular season, especially matching up against Denver. But yeah, that's the thing. This regular season, it's really about getting as high of a seed as you can, but at the same time making sure that you figure out what matchups you like and what matchups you don't like. So that way, that last month of the regular season, you can kind of fit your way. And I know a lot of people and a lot of fans don't like it, but that's how the NBA is right now. You have to do that because every team is so close in talent, and at least in the West, that it is based off of matchups for most of the for most of it. That is what it is about. If you don't get a good matchup, you're probably going to lose at the end of the day, because if you got a matchup with Golden State and you can't stop Steph and all their other guys, you just, for whatever reason, the way they move the ball, they get a lot of easy buckets, they hit a lot of threes on you. You can't beat them in a 7-game series. I don't care how talented you are. It's just a bad matchup. Unless you have LeBron James, who can kind of negate bad matchups, you can't get past it.
Yeah. And all that talk about Damian Lillard being the best point guard, like Steph is back.
Yeah, no,
and
it's Steph.
he looks
Steph.
just like himself.
And
So,
KD looks like himself too.
yeah. So
fun to have
it's gonna
those
be a
two
fun NBA season. But none of those guys have anything against Campazzo, and I look for him to be most improved player of the year, rookie of the year as well, since he's a rookie technically at 29 years old. If Campazzo is not rookie of the year, I will be very livid, and I will write a letter to Adam Silver stating my claims.
I mean, I would write a letter to Michael Malone.
I'm currently right now looking at all these are stock photos, but I'm looking for a child on his dad's shoulders, and there's so many good ones, but they're all stock photos. But I'm committed now to this. I'm gonna put Jokic's face on the papa, and I'm gonna put Campazzo on the little kid. And I just want one where they're like just joyously just hanging out. Like it's gonna be. I'm just committed. This is where I'm going with it, and no one can stop me. But the Nuggets get back on the court tonight against the Trailblazers. They'll have them again here at home. I believe it's at 7 p.m. Brandon's gonna have to use the Harry Potter owl to get updates on what the score is.
Hey, I find ways.
Yeah,
I watched the whole game. Portland.
someone Morse code Brandon the score. Beep 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 beep, and that's how we'll
I had
post the
someone who
information
has DirecTV just hold up a camera and I could watch it.
on. Someone FaceTime the screen for you. That's funny.
Yeah, they
So they'll be back after that.
they just put their phone, on a stand and right in front of the TV, and there you go.
I mean, I may or may not have watched many UFC fights that way. Not with someone I know FaceTiming them, but on Twitter and Periscope, just search for the streams. That's kind of what I do.
I find ways to watch the Nuggets game. I don't miss the game.
So
Unless I'm actually
that's going to
busy.
be tonight at 7 p.m. We'll see if they can get another win, close out the preseason at 2-1, and then this baby's going. The 22nd, we'll have Sacramento, and then the Clippers, and then we're off and running against in another Western Conference.
We'll have
stacked
Kawhi
season.
and Leonard versus Paul and Millsap.
Kawhi and Leonard versus Paul. I can't believe I did that. That's disappointing. I'm disappointed in myself.
See, now at this point, we're pretty much even.
Yeah. Well,
Actually, no.
unless you
Yours
make,
is
like a sex thing. Then,
yours. Yeah, no. You're the worst. Never mind.
I feel for that guy. Hopefully, he's recovered since then. See, mine was confined to a small group.
Right.
Honestly, it
His
could be like a
national-
Legend's Tale. Like only 2 people were there, so it could be like, did that really happen? We don't know.
Yeah.
There was like 17 people probably.
I
on
mean,
that
you
Zoom
admit
call.
it though, like every show. So
That's true. That's true. But still, I mean, we could go that route. I could start denying it. And we'd be like, did that really happen? Where's the evidence? That guy, not only did he
Can't
have
believe you deleted
groups of
it.
people there who are journalists, by the way, so they'll never forget it. It's
what
on
makes
record
me,
now.
You know what makes me so mad about that is
What?
I remember the second that we ended that, I saved the raw, again somewhere, and I thought I had it. I thought I had it on my USB. I don't know if you went back and stole my USB and deleted it.
Magician never tells a secret.
I don't know how you did it, but yeah, you found it and you deleted it.
Yep. There's no record to be found. Apologies again to Janae Payne. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully that doesn't stick with you like it sticks with me every night. But we move on. Speaking of moving on,
Mad. I'm so mad about that.
yeah.
That would be a soundbite though. I'd play it so much.
Yeah.
You're very lucky that you
I didn't
deleted
mean to ask it. Like, it just happened. Like I'm sure that guy didn't mean to ask it, but it just happened. I was just like, yeah. It was a bad moment,
it.
but we move on. We live and learn. Buffalo Bills this week against the Denver Broncos.
And now the mood just.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough week. But I was looking at the Bills' stats on defense, and they're pretty middle of the pack, like Carolina. So maybe the Broncos could have some success this weekend.
Yes, but the Bills' defense has been really good the last, I would say, 3 weeks. So
that's fair.
And the one thing the Bills do, they do a great job of getting turnovers. I think they're right up there in the top with turnover differential. That's something that Drew Lock would probably have like 2 picks, or maybe a fumble. I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe two fumbles in this game for Denver. So that's the thing. You got to be able to take care of the ball. If Denver takes care of the ball, then they have a shot, because the Bills defense, like you said, isn't great. They've been playing better, but I think for the most part they've just been getting turnovers. And if you look at who they've been playing the last 3 weeks, they beat the Chargers 27-17. They beat the 49ers 34-24, although that wasn't – the 49ers got a couple of garbage points there they pretty much smoked the 49ers. And then the Steelers. All three, I would say, the Chargers offense has been inconsistent, obviously, with the rookie quarterback. So that's, that schedule isn't very tough. I mean, the Steelers offense is awful. The 49ers offense right now with what they have isn't very good. And the Chargers are just inconsistent. So that's probably the most impressive one. But then when you look at when they did play pretty good offenses, they gave up 32 to the Cardinals and lost, 34 to the Seahawks. They gave up 26 to the Chiefs, 42 to Titans. So I've been watching the Bills a lot because I've been very curious with Josh Allen. I don't know. They're a weird team. A lot of people think that they can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. I mean, I don't think so, but they're an interesting team.
Yeah.
I think they do. Here's the one thing, though. They do things the way their team is. They are actually built to win in the playoffs because they have a really good offense. They can run the ball. They have a pretty dang good quarterback who can also run it. And their defense gets turnovers. So they have the formula. We'll see if they can do it, but they have the formula.
Yeah, and they have a quarterback who's very dynamic. He's got a great arm, but he can also run the football, so it adds a different dimension. I'm just looking at the team stats and how these teams stack up. The Bills, they score 28 points per game. Broncos 20 points. I mean, those are both rounding up. It's really 27-6 and 19-8. Points allowed, the Bills give up 24-7. The Broncos give up 26-7. The Bills outgain the Broncos in total yards by about 43. They have about 40-ish more passing yards 60 more passing yards than the Broncos almost. And the Broncos outrush the Bills by about 15 yards a game. And then the Bills give up about 10 more yards a game. They give up almost 20 more yards in passing, but the Broncos give up almost 20 more yards in rushing. So it's listen, I think every game we see the Broncos are in it. So I think the Broncos will be in it for a short period of time. But it's all dependent on, Drew Lock. If the Broncos can get a couple stops early, if they can hold the Bills to, 10 points, 7 points, or lower, if that. If they can keep it close within the first quarter, then I think you got a game. But the Broncos cannot lose this game in the first quarter, which they've been known to have some slow starts. Drew Lock, this has to be, yesterday was his best game of the season. This week's going to have to be, or not yesterday, last week was his best game of the season. This has to be his best game of the season. Like, he has to trump that from last week. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be another 4-touchdown performance. He just has to be smart with the football. Take shots when they're there like he did last week. And hopefully Pat Shurmur can stay committed to the running game. Hopefully he doesn't panic if things start to slow down a little bit. And hopefully he stays committed to it because I just mentioned the Bills aren't great against the run. They give up almost 120 yards a game doing it, trying to stop the run. So it's going to be interesting where these two teams can exploit each other's weaknesses. And hopefully this week we see Jerry Jeudy get more involved. Hopefully the screen passes are there this week. Noah Fant will be back. Garrett Bowles will be back more than likely. So the Broncos will be about as full strength as you can be. And, maybe this is a week that Philip Lindsay gets it going a little bit more. I don't know. But they're going to need Melvin Gordon to play like he's been playing the past few weeks as well.
Yeah. Let's see. The Buffalo's favored by 6. That's a lot.
Yep.
Wow. That's
almost a touchdown favorite.
That's a lot for being on the road. I don't know.
Well,
that's the thing. You're at home. I just don't see how the Broncos win this game. But I will say this. It is right around that time where Drew Lock started to get it going a year ago, and they beat a playoff team. So they can do it. They did it last year. Drew Lock did it last year, and he has the offensive weapons. He has it. I don't want to hear, all this, being patient and, he doesn't have, Cortland Sutton. He has his weapons. He has Jerry Jeudy. He has KJ Hamler. He has Noah Fant. No, Fant will play, right?
Yes.
So
I think he's questionable, but I think they're banking on him playing.
he has Tim Patrick. So he has weapons. He's ready to go. The offense is looking really good. Play calling has been excellent. I would say, at least last week it was against the Chiefs. I think it was too. I just think it came down to, bad throws by Drew Lock, the 2 picks. But or at least the first one for sure. So as long as Drew Lock is smart with the ball and he doesn't make dumb mistakes, they can win it. But I don't know how. Look, Buffalo does a good job of getting turnovers. They're a bend but don't break kind of defense. I don't see Drew Lock taking care of the ball and having another flash game. I just don't. And that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. And I think, too, this is going to be a scenario in which the Broncos are very thin in the secondary right now. And Stephon Diggs is one of the best route runners, if not receivers, in the league. So trying to stop him and account for Josh Allen, I just think there's going to be a breaking point with that Broncos defense where they can't stop everything. And at a certain point, Pat Shurmur's going to be like, okay, we're going to have to start throwing the ball. And then once we get to that point of the game, then it's more likely than not going to be disastrous. So again, the Broncos have to find a way to slow things down. I mean, you're going to need a heroic day from your secondary. I mean, Michael Ojemudia, Devontae Bosby.
They're
they picked up another
gonna get
cornerback off our
torched.
practice squad too.
They're gonna get torched. This game, it's either gonna be a Bills blowout or it's gonna be a really high scoring game. That's the only way I see it. The Broncos defense are gonna get torched.
Yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because there's a lot of weapons on that Bills offense, and they're clicking right now. And Josh Allen is playing some of his best football, so it's going to be an interesting game to watch. Hopefully, Drew Lock can have another great game, another bounce-back flash game, and string together another 4 quarters. Because what I saw last night, even though it was an embarrassment from those 2 teams, Justin Herbert looks to be the guy. And we've seen, I tweeted it last night after the game, I mean, we've seen quarterbacks, have a great first year and then kind of fall back down to earth in year 2. And that could happen with Justin Herbert, once teams get more tape on him and find ways to attack him. But if he's the guy, we better hope and pray Drew Lock is the man, because you got Patrick Mahomes there. And mind you, this is Herbert's first season. Everybody's like, oh, Drew Lock, this is still technically his first season. Okay, well, I'm seeing what Justin Herbert's doing in his
but Drew Lock didn't have an offseason. Oh, new offensive coordinator.
Drew Lock's first season doesn't look like this. And Herbert didn't have an offseason as well. He's got a new coach. He's got a new coordinator, I mean, and his first start, they were like, hey, Justin, 10 minutes before the game, get out there against the Kansas City Chiefs. And he looked good. So I'm just saying, if I think if you polled Broncos fans and you asked them right now, who would you rather have on your team, Justin Herbert or Drew Lock? You'd be lying if you said you would not want Justin Herbert over Drew Lock. You'd be absolutely flat out lying. And if you're not lying, then you're just delusional. I'm sorry. Because one of these does not look like the other. Okay? Drew Lock, he plays well when the running game is clicking and they don't need him to throw it. Herbert's been slinging it around like 30-plus times, practically every game, I think, and he looks great. So imagine, like, if you swapped out Herbert and Lock, how good would this Broncos team be right now?
Oh, if Herbert was on this team instead of Drew Lock, what's the Broncos record right now? They're 5-8.
I might put out that poll after the show too.
The Broncos would be, instead of 5-8, they would be 8-5 right now.
You can make that argument. I definitely think they'd
at
be
the worst
more solidified in the playoff hunt.
At the worst, I could argue that they'd be 9-4.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Herbert's. How many times has he thrown it per game? Because I feel like he throws it a lot.
Yeah, well, they lost Eckler, right? So
yeah, they lost him early in the year against Tampa.
Yeah, they haven't been able to run the ball at all.
Let's see, 32 attempts last night, 44, 53, 52. And listen, you don't want your quarterback throwing it that much, but they're a bad football team. So let's see. 33 week 1, 49 week 2, 25 week 3, 34, 43, 43, 42, 32, 49, 52, 53, 44, 32.
Oh my
He's throw,
God.
he's throwing it that much, and guess what his touchdown to interception ratio is?
Oh, it's amazing.
It's almost 3-1.
Yeah.
He's got 27 touchdowns, 10 picks, and he's thrown it that many times a game. That is insane. He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games of at least 3 touchdowns, and one 4-touchdown game. That is nuts. That is absolute. You would think for a guy who's thrown it 40 plus times in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games out of the 14 he's played. If I would have told you there's a rookie quarterback who's thrown it in 6 games 40 plus times and twice, I think, 50 times, and I told you he only has 10 interceptions, you'd probably think I'm crazy. Or you'd probably say, oh, that's probably Patrick Mahomes' first year. No, it's Justin Herbert's first year. That is nuts. I don't even want to look at Drew Lock's first year. And Lock's not even throwing it that much. His touchdown to interception ratio, I think, is 22-16 or 21-15. Oh my gosh. That is insane. Insane.
He's a great player. He's a great quarterback. And
Wow.
and when I, when I said that, when I was going over the the first 7 games for all those young quarterbacks, Justin Herbert had as many flash games as Mahomes and Watson. And so did Kyler. Those were the 4 that had the most up to that point. I think the more and more the season ages on and the more these young quarterbacks are getting more and more time, it's that that method that I used is actually looking pretty good. The more and more it goes on, it's oh, okay, that might actually be. Now it's not foolproof. Obviously, I think the one exception I will say at this point is Josh Allen. But I think that had a lot to do with that team and that year. You could argue it with Drew Lock, but it's been 2 years already, and they've given him talent. So that first year with Josh Allen and the Bills, I don't think you can name a single player on that team. At least on that offense. So. That it's different. I think that Josh Allen one is the one exception, but other than that, I really like what I did with that first 7 game thing. Flash games. 270, 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 pick. That's fine, or even 2. And your completion percentage is up right around 65%. 60 to 65 at the lowest. If you're not a quarterback in this league that can complete 60% of your passes or 65% of your passes, you're not a very good quarterback. It's much easier in today's league to complete 60%. You have to hit that mark, and Drew Lock hasn't.
Yeah, and you can argue too. The Broncos are a better team. They have more talent than the Chargers.
Oh yeah,
and Herbert's
way
doing
more.
that.
They have. No, yeah, Herbert doesn't have Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Noah Fant.
I guess he has Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, and Austin Eckler, though. That's pretty good, too. Though.
Well, no Austin Eckler right now. But, no, Keenan Allen is really good. Sure. Hunter Henry, I would say, is probably just as good as Noah Fant. Noah Fant might be a little bit better at this point. But, yeah, I think – but he doesn't have – 2 solid running backs. He doesn't have the depth at wide receiver that Drew Lock has, and I'm not sure if he even has the offensive line Drew Lock has right now.
Dude, I can't believe that he's thrown it that many times a game and he only has 10 interceptions.
Well, it's because the defense, can't stop anyone, so he has to throw that many times. But yeah, the fact that he only has 10 picks, that's.
and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 300-yard passing games. So
Well, think
half of
about
his
this
games,
too. How many scoring drives has he put together in the last 5 minutes of games? A
right? Well, he's
lot.
got 2 back-to-back game-winning touchdown drives,
Right.
or
And
game-winning drives.
they blew at least 3 early on in the season. So that means he probably has 5 or 6 of those type of drives at least. I mean, the dude is clutch. He makes clutch throws.
66.5% completion.
And he's incredible.
He's gonna throw for 4,000 yards in his rookie year.
Yeah. He's
And
incredible.
he's probably gonna have 30+ touchdowns, and maybe he'll finish with at most probably like 15.
And here's the thing: if the Chargers start putting together, they fire the head coach. If they start putting things together, I'm telling you, if they have a good offseason, and Justin Herbert is the real deal, because like you said, you usually find out in that year 2. He's either gonna have an MVP season, or we're gonna find out that he's not the real deal. But I'm leaning towards, I think he's gonna have one of those years that Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, that year 2, if you're legit, you're going to have an MVP caliber season. And next year, he's probably going to have that. With the weapons that they could put together for him, he could do it. As long as they're healthy, he could have an MVP caliber season next year.
That is insane. The Broncos are in deep doo-doo. I'm just telling you that. They better hope locks the guy.
You know what? I'll say it right now. Justin Herbert is my favorite to win MVP next year. He's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it's
year 2 quarterbacks. That's
nice.
Who's been winning it. Carson Wentz
Sure.
did it. Before he got hurt, Mahomes did it. Lamar Jackson did it. This year is the only year we didn't get that, and it's because, well, look at the quarterbacks.
Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna hold out hope because, like
Kyler
I said,
Murray
usually in that second year, you see
there,
quarterbacks kind of take a dip. But we'll see. I mean, if he can come back next year and put up a similar type of year, then oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I just
he could have next year. He could have 40 touchdown passes, and 15 picks, 4,500 yards, win MVP. And the Chargers are 10-6, 11-5, and they're the matchup with the Chiefs.
It's very depressing to think about as a Broncos fan. That's for sure. But before we wrap today's episode, let's get to our picks. Obviously, you won last night with the Chargers, and I had the Raiders. Yeah. So it's just unbelievable. So that puts you at 124-83 on the season. That puts me at 139-68.
We've done really well this year with picks. You've just been ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no. Well, in my fan pick'em, I'm worse in the fan pick'em. But let's see, what am I at in the fan? I'm at over 100 in the fan pick'em as well. I've been battling for first with Richie Carney, the producer.
So if you had your record in this, you'd be in first.
Oh, I'm actually first. I actually have a better record in the fan pick'em. In the fan pick'em, I have 143 wins. So I'm one back of Richie, who's got 144. So yeah, I'm killing it this year.
Yeah, you're having a good year.
So this is what you can expect. I string together seasons now. I'm like a perennial All-Pro when it comes to this stuff. So
well, I've only seen one good year.
I'm like the Justin Herbert, and you're like the Drew Lock. I mean, if we're being real here, that's kind of what it is at this point. So when I take home the championship, which is me stuffing my face in crumble, then you'll know.
I mean, if I was a Drew Lock, I wouldn't have 100 wins, but
Oh, see, you didn't have to go there. It was a cheap shot. Low blow. But I set you up, and I was kind of hoping you would go there. Is there any
it's
hope
more
for
like
Denver here?
It's more like the Mahomes and Rodgers for MVP right now. That's
Right.
kind of what it's at.
Right. But I'm the cooler one, so I'm Patrick Mahomes. You're the old one with the handlebar mustache. You're
the fact that I just got you to say you're Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, I'm not ashamed. I love that man. It pains me to say it, but I love him. It's Jokic, Campazzo, Mahomes. It's my favorites right now. Campazzo might be passing Philip Lindsay if Philip doesn't start picking it up here. Right?
Yeah.
So, but any hope for Denver here? I'm going Buffalo in this one.
I mean, I think Denver can win it. I think it's kind of a trap game for Buffalo. I'm not picking them though. I'll pick Buffalo. But it could be a trap game. If Drew Lock does not have a pick, no turnovers from the Broncos, they win. But I don't think
So
that's
if he
gonna
plays
happen.
perfect,
Basically, the offenses play perfect. Yeah.
yeah, which I don't think either of us think will happen. Green Bay versus Carolina. I'm going Green Bay.
That's easy,
I mean,
Green Bay.
Carolina just completely shot themselves in the foot last
Yeah.
week, so I don't see that changing against the Packers. Detroit versus Tennessee. This is kind of a sneaky one. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit won this game because I feel like Tennessee's kind of inconsistent, even though they're going to be most likely a playoff team. I just
Yeah.
like Tennessee. I just don't know how you stop Derrick Henry if you're Detroit.
Yeah, and I think the Titans are inconsistent against good teams.
Mhm.
They tend to just beat down the bad teams. So I'll pick Tennessee.
Houston versus Indy. I know Houston has been playing somewhat better, but they lost last week to Chicago, which thank you, Chicago, for that. You had Houston last week. I don't think they bounce back against Indianapolis. Indianapolis has been a kind of a weird team to pick this year, too, but I think they get the win this week.
Yeah, Houston's not very good. If you get blown out by the Bears,
Mhm.
that's hard to do. That's
Yeah.
very hard to do. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
pick the Colts.
The Jets versus the Rams.
By the
Any
way,
hope
if
for
I
the
was
Jets?
Deshaun Watson, I'd ask for a trade.
Well, I mean, he shouldn't have signed that deal. Well, that's false. That's a lot of money. Sign that deal. But yes, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be shocked if, or at least I would ask for a trade too. I'm not shocked at that premise. Any hope for the Jets? Or are you going Rams?
No, I'll go Rams.
Atlanta and Tampa Bay. This is a weird one. You want to talk about a team that's been up and down? It's Tampa. I mean, one moment they look like they could play in the Super Bowl. The next moment it's like,
Yeah.
ugh.
They were my
Broncos
pick
lost to them.
originally, and I'm completely off Tampa Bay as far
Yeah,
as
I'm
getting to the
not.
Super Bowl.
I mean, they have talent. Talent's not the issue, but the defense is kind of falling apart. Like, remember everybody was like, "Oh, this defense is so good," and the defense is just kind of not holding up its end of the bargain. Atlanta did Atlanta things last week, losing the Chargers late. I think Tampa wins this week, though. I think they're the better team. I think they win.
Um,
Do it. Go Atlanta. I dare you.
the one here's the thing. Where is Atlanta with pass rushing? Because
Sure.
let's see. They have a total of how many sacks do they have this year? They have 25. Where does that rank in the league? 25 sacks.
Probably not super
very
high.
good,
Probably
huh?
middle of the pack.
All right, I'll take Tampa Bay. The one thing Tampa Bay cannot score. Tom Brady has struggled against any team that puts pressure on him. And if you can get pressure on Tom Brady, you're gonna hold that offense to about 17 points, if that. And then I like Atlanta's offense, but I just don't think Atlanta can get that pressure on Tampa Bay. So I'll take Tampa Bay.
This next game is very interesting. New England versus Miami. New England's just another team. It seems like they get their footing and then they throw out a stinker the next week.
Yeah.
Miami's playing really well, but something about Bill Belichick and scheming up games for first-year quarterbacks. Have they played yet with Tua under center against the Patriots this year? Let's see.
The Patriots
Did
beat the
they-
Dolphins in Week 1, 21-11.
Okay, week 1. So that was Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think Miami's the better team, but Bill just knows how to create a game plan, and they're favored in this one. Well, actually, so ESPN's matchup predictor has the Patriots as a 52% favorite, but the line is -3 Miami just because they're the home team. Dolphins are coming off a loss against the Chiefs. They played well down the stretch of that game. And the Patriots got blown off the face of the earth by the Rams. This is a tough one. what's the injury report look like? I don't think anybody's on the COVID list for these teams.
Yeah, this was tough.
Let's see. Lawrence guy. I think Cam Newton's gonna start this week too. Jack Mason. Gesicki was limited for the Dolphins. Tua was on the injury report, but he's a full participant.
Wow, look into his numbers. 114 of 184, 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick. Wow.
That's a really good ratio as well. But that Miami offense isn't great. I think I'm gonna go New England. It's something about Bill versus first year quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's won 9 in a row against first year quarterbacks. The only reason why I'm picking the Dolphins, though, I do not trust Cam. I don't trust the Patriots offense. The Dolphins defense is really good. It's probably a low scoring game. In that case, I think the Dolphins win. So I'll take Dolphins.
I absolutely despise this game. Anytime it involves Minnesota.
Why? I feel like this game has happened. Oh, yeah. Well, they're the division games. Never mind. I was like, didn't this game just happen?
It feels like it happens every week. It feels like I have to pick this game every single week. And it's a Twilight Zone nightmare. I hate the Vikings. And I hate the Bears as well. I hate picking their games. Minnesota's favored. They're -3. Dalvin Cook's been playing really well.
The Bears won game 1, 19-13.
Yeah, and the Bears are coming off that big win last week. I don't think they can duplicate that. I'm gonna go Minnesota, but I already know I'm gonna regret this.
Yeah, you always lose those. I'm gonna go Bears.
Yeah, makes me not happy. Cleveland versus the Giants. I'm going Cleveland. I don't think the Giants really have a chance in this one.
No, I'll go Cleveland.
Seattle versus Washington. I'm not sure Washington has a chance in this one. Even though their defense is really good, though.
Yeah, Washington has looked really good lately. I'll take Seattle, but I could see Seattle is favored by 6. Man.
I think it'll be closer than that.
Yeah, I think it's closer than that. I'll take this. I'll take the Seahawks, but yeah, that's gonna be a fun game. That might be the best game in the 11 o'clock games.
Baltimore versus Jacksonville. Gardner Minshew get a win in his start?
No.
Okay. I'm going Baltimore as well. And then from there we go to Philadelphia, Arizona. I'm not sure Hurts can duplicate what he did last week. I'm going to go Arizona here.
Yeah, Arizona needs some win. I'll take Arizona.
KC versus New Orleans. Looks like Drew Brees is going to be back this week. Doesn't faze me at all. Kansas City by 47.
Yeah, I'll take Kansas City. And then we didn't pick the 49ers-Cowboys game.
Yeah, so I have that right here, Sunday Night Football.
Oh, that's no longer Sunday Night Football.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
The Cleveland Giants game is Sunday Night Football now.
Oh, is it?
Wow.
Woof.
Why didn't they
San
flex
Fran.
the Chiefs Saints one? Maybe. Oh, I'm guessing the Chiefs Saints one is because it's CBS, so I'm guessing that's.
Yeah, it's like the game of the week. That's
Yeah.
Ray Nance and Tony Romo. San Francisco, Dallas. I'm gonna go San Fran here. Dallas is they're just bad. I mean, so is San Fran, but that's mainly because of injuries.
You're going Dallas?
No, I'm going San Fran.
Oh, you're going San Fran.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll take Dallas. I'll go opposite of you on that one.
All right. Do you want to wait till Monday to pick Pittsburgh, Cincinnati? I think Pittsburgh needs a win desperately.
Yeah, we can both put Pittsburgh because.
All right. Well, we differ on 3 games this week. You could cut it to 12 if all goes your way.
Easy.
I've been winning one. These.
I couldn't quite get it to 11, unfortunately, but I can cut it to 12.
I think I'm confident. The only one I'm not really confident in is that. I'm a little on the fence about that New England one too. But the Minnesota one, Kirk Cousins, please don't let me down this week.
All 3 that we differ on are all coin flips.
Yeah, no, easily. Yeah, they can easily go one way or the other for sure. But I'm hoping Kirk Cousins doesn't let me down.
Man, it's gonna be. I'm gonna get 4 wins up this week, and just like that, be within 12. There goes your 20. Your second box crumble.
I was so close to
You are,
I was
but
so
you blew it.
close.
You always do. You always do.
I was so close. I didn't blow it. The teams blew it. And then we got 2 weeks after that. I might have to game manage depending on where we're at, and
No, I'm having you pick first. You're in the lead.
pick opposite or pick the same as you.
Mm.
But that's gonna do it for us today. We thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully you had a blast. We did. So that's gonna do it for us on this Friday. For Brandon Stoll on the other side, I'm Stephen Priest Jr. This has been the Behind the Glass Sports Podcast.